What's going on, guys? You are checking out an all-new The RCWR Show, covering the very latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. Your host right here, Lee Sanders. We're coming at you for Wednesday night of May the 29th, 2019. Apologize to our audience trying to check out the show live. Once again, you know what? For very good reason, two things. Number one, I had took my medicine for the night right before I was supposed to go live on the air. And you know what? I just got to stop doing that because anybody knows with the type of medicine I take, I have bathroom problems. And so I'm thinking, oh, well, you know, I ate a couple of hours ago. I'm good to go. Nah, so that's why I was a little bit late. And then not to mention, little lady had came in from work. She also had picked up some lab result tests because she's been having some serious stomach problems the past couple of days, almost over a week and a half. And it's really been like, okay, what's going on? Because this isn't cool. Long as I've known you, like, you're always okay. So I was able to talk to her for a little bit, and nothing else had mattered because my whole thing was what's going on with the lab results. So the good news, bad news. The bad news, she was diagnosed with having fatty liver disease. So for you younger folks out there, what that basically means is that there is a lot of excess fat around her liver. And luckily, the good news, her condition right now, it is reversible. All she has to do is straighten it up on what type of food she eat, because she really doesn't eat that much as it is, but she's kind of like me. It's almost like, well, whatever is available to snack on, eat, or whatever, and usually it is greasy, fatty foods. So honestly, it's not going to be that hard. I mean, she really just needs to play off of me, and it's pretty much good to go, because I'm eating more healthier than before, especially with the new diet regimen I'm on. I've been trying to get her on it, but she's like, no, I'm good. I'm doing my own thing over here. Thank you. And it's kind of like, yeah, you keep that up and let's see where that gets you. And now we're kind of seeing what's going on, but knock on wood that it is reversible what's going on. So her doctor's gonna touch base with her tomorrow or maybe Friday and let her know of a site and some links on basically stuff that she can do eating and drinking wise too. They're saying at least it's going to take a year. This is something that, unfortunately, when you get diagnosed with it, you're not going to be able to just, 2-3 weeks, I'm good to go. No, this is something that is going to need like a year top. So I told her on a good note, I said, well, look, even more motivation for you, because she already got her wedding dress. I said, look, even more motivation for you to make sure by any means you're able to get in that wedding dress next year. That's practically a year to go. Come on, look at this as a good challenge, So I have a feeling that before this week is out, me and her are going to be in the gym like a mofo, and I've been trying to do that for the longest, so I'm not trying to make her out to be the bad guy. I know my ass is kind of slacking as well, so, but interesting developments that was going on with that. Also, got some fun news. If you're following me throughout social media, y'all know, because I was sharing with you all my dreadful thought process on possibly doing braces or Invisalign. For years now, I've been wanting to get Invisalign, more so braces, but once the Invisalign came along, it was kind of like, no, that's what I want, because that's more cooler. That's more, hey, all right. And so I remember I went on social media a couple of weeks back and I was sharing the news with you guys, and you all were like, if you can get it, man, Invisalign. Just for you guys that were kind of wondering, because I know some of you all were like, it's okay, man, it's not as bad as you think. I have been approved for Invisalign, and so I think we were waiting on something called a clink check or something like that. I might be saying that wrong, but basically it looks like the way everything's going down, I'm finally going to be getting my Invisaligns, not next week, but I think the following week I got to check to see when they want me to come in again. But I'm excited. I'm excited for that. This is probably going to be like a year process that I'm going to be doing. So I'm looking forward to it. I already know what to expect. One thing that they did tell me, and I'll just kind of remind you guys again, preferably after the, I guess the procedure, the initial procedure or whatever goes down, but basically they said, hey, look, your voice is going to change a bit, and you may experience headaches as a result of what's happening because all your teeth is coming together. So you may experience a little bit of a headache as all of this is happening throughout time. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I just kind of want to prepare you guys because we may end up doing shorter shows as a result. What in the blue hell was that sound just now? I just heard some type of a sparkly dust sound right now, and I don't know what the hell that was about. Okay, I don't know what that was about. I don't know if that was a super chat or what notification. You guys will have to relay it to me, but that was a weird noise that I just heard. Anyway, yeah, it was, you know, I'm excited, but I tell you what, man, I really hope that for all of us, I don't have a case where I'm going to have headaches and all that other shit, because that would just be fucking insane, quite honestly. But we'll see what happens. I think tomorrow I'll share with you guys the video on social media. It was really, really badass because I got a video of basically a 3D graphic of how my teeth look right now and where it's going to be a year from now after the Invisalign does its thing. And they were able to like show me this in like about 15 seconds, and it was so fucking badass. I'll share it with you guys tomorrow morning. It was awesome. So I'm very, very excited with regards to that. Man, since last we were on the air with you guys, a lot of cool little wrestling tidbits had went down. Probably the biggest one that has a lot of people talking at the time that we're doing this show right now is the Talk is Jericho podcast that dropped earlier this morning. His conversation with Jon Moxley, formerly known as WWE superstar Dean Ambrose. Jon Moxley breaking his silence on what all led up to his WWE exit. It was about 97 minutes long. A great conversation. I had tweeted Chris Jericho. I wanted to do a two-parter to Jericho, but basically the first tweet I put out there, I said, hey, just so happens at the office here, it's a little bit slow. Great opportunity to check out this podcast Jericho did with Moxley, see what's up. And I see a lot of people were just, because Jericho, I think he liked it or something like that. I wasn't looking for that. I was just shooting the shit. Hey, slow day here at the office, whatever. So I always meant to put out a part 2 to let you guys know what I had thought of the podcast. And it was so funny because shout out to those of you who I was interacting with via Discord and on social media. It was hilarious because at one point, and I forgot who brought it up, but somebody had said, Lee, hey, everybody, they are actually doing reaction videos on YouTube to what Jon Moxley had said. I'm like, wait a minute now. Say what? What happened? And it was like, no, there's actually people on YouTube that's doing reaction videos to, so wait a minute. I never did quite understand these reaction videos. I never did. I tried to do one and I just kind of felt odd. I really did, especially from the standpoint of, you know, it's one thing if I'm showing you a video, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example, and this isn't long or drawn out. The video I remember doing a reaction piece to, there was something on Metallica I had did a while back. Metallica had did some song. They hadn't done it in several years. And I remember doing a reaction video to that. But the difference with my video was that you could actually see the Metallica performance and you could actually hear the Metallica performance. And you see me as I'm... So I like reaction videos like that. Like if I were to do a reaction video, I like something like that where you can actually see the content and you can react right along with it, feel however you need to feel as you're looking at the main source itself. And then it's kind of like you and me are both playing off of each other. Maybe we come to the same conclusion, maybe we don't. But to actually just fire up YouTube and search Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley reaction video, and I'm basically just seeing somebody, oh man, and he said this, and oh man, oh it was great, oh subscribe. And I agree with what a lot of you guys have said out there. There are a bunch of fucking chumps out there that do like these 2-minute videos, and they get like a shitload of subs, and I don't care about all that, to each its own. But I've been saying it for years. Always focus on the quality and not the quantity. If you are really doing your very best to bring it, it doesn't matter what's going on with your listenership. It doesn't matter if on a monthly basis you're pulling in over 100k downloads, plays, or if you're bringing in a modest 8,000 or 10,000 plays. Whether you have 350 plus people showing up for when you do your shows live, or you have an audience of 10 or 20 people or whatever, as long as it's a case where, you know what, even if it's the same 10 people or the number is just the fact that you have some type of an audience that's coming back to you on a regular basis, because most importantly, above all else, they believe in your content. They believe in the quality of your content. That always prevails. It always prevails, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of jabronis that's out there that is doing how I said it, exactly how I described it. You know, that ain't no shade particularly to anybody, but I can never wrap my brain fully around these reaction videos. I never really could. To each its own. I'm kind of one of those type of people. You want me to review something? Fucking give me the product. Put the product in my fucking hands. Put a camera in front of me. And that is where I shine the most. Don't come to me after I've already done what I needed to do with the product, and I'm just, yeah. You know, movie, that's one thing. If I'm reviewing a movie, I can deal with that. A video game, maybe, but I kind of want to show gaming footage to people, right? So it's kind of like one of those touch and go. I think it really depends on the situation, but I never could really. I'll tell you something that I never really, and I just, to this very day, I never could get into the whole fucking, watching somebody watching a TV show or a movie and you're not actually seeing that. I never could really get into that, right? So like a perfect example would be, I don't know, let's just say there's a pay-per-view. And sadly, when it comes to the pay-per-view you're trying to watch, maybe you're in an area where you can't get access to the pay-per-view. And it's like, fuck. So you see something on YouTube, you're hoping maybe you're going to see clips. Well, when you get on YouTube, sadly, with regards to those clips, it's a case where you're basically watching somebody on their sofa looking at their TV and nonchalantly, kind of piss poorly, reacting to the shit. So that's the case. That's the case. I never could get into it, but I want to talk all things about this Talk is Jericho. Now, I see a comment in the question. I want to, in the chat here, a question / comment in the chat. I want to address it to Dre Trey. You blocked my other account, Trill Taylor. Why? First of all, Dre, Trill Taylor, I've never seen that account before. You would have to tell me where exactly your account was. Was that something that was blocked on YouTube? Was that something that was blocked on Twitter? Because I've had a few people that have been coming at me on Twitter, and I'm like this on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, the sooner you say, hey Lee, I'm following you because I saw your show the other day, I already make a mental note, okay, hands off. Because I have had people that have followed me, they don't interact, and it turns out it's a case where it's follow for follow. And I don't do that follow for follow bullshit. I don't. I can't stand that shit. It pisses me off. I don't like it whatsoever. Okay? So, the other case, and to Jose, we watched AEW Double or Nothing. Matter of fact, we actually came on as soon as the pay-per-view was over. and reviewed the pay-per-view. So maybe when the stream is over, you can go back and check out my thoughts, because I kind of don't really have anything to add on top of Double or Nothing. And I think majority of the listeners can respect that, because what should have been a 1 hour show, we actually did a 2 hour show on that, but there were so many layers to that, it wasn't even funny. So it was nice to do for you guys, but that's kind of something that I'm not really interested in rehashing. All right, and then the other thing, yeah, it's weird. So if you follow me on Twitter, like, the sooner you say something, the better. So I know that, okay, make sure that I don't, because I hate the whole follow for follow bullshit. I'm like this. You want me as a follower? You want me to follow you back? It's earned. It's not just given. Like, keep interacting. Give me actual quality shit when I'm reading your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't give me no hokey dokey bullshit type of stuff. If I happen to block you on YouTube, it could be a case where, rare on occasion, you may have been a victim of a trolling comment that I saw. It happens. Sometimes I will accidentally block a person that shouldn't have been blocked, and it was actually somebody else that was blocked. And then other times I have somebody working behind the scenes that will go look in the chats, and if they see something that is, okay, yeah, not really feeling that, let's get rid of that. Okay, I'm not really feeling that, let me go ahead and block that. So, you know, off and on the past couple of weeks, I haven't been blocking people in YouTube. I've actually been having a little bit of help here and there. But please, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? And this is for everybody going forward, especially for those that's going to be checking this out on demand or on the downloads. Please do not begin a conversation by coming into the chat and saying, why did you block me on? Because that's so annoying. I would rather you go out of your way, like on the YouTube comments tab in the community section, the communities tab on the channel. I would rather some way you like maybe go there, or if you know for a fact you haven't been blocked on maybe Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you reach out to me that way. Because I normally do not respond to that type of question. To the point, I normally will delete stuff like that. So if you can kind of go out of your way and not make it be so personal and about you, and just kind of, you know, no big deal. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, because 8 out of 10, it could legitimately be that, right? But when you begin a conversation with, why did you block me on, that's kind of a turnoff. I'm just telling you how it is so you guys know for next time. Now that we've got that out the way, luckily people that's going to be checking this out on demand and the downloads, they're not going to be hearing this shit, because I do serious editing when we give the show on the audio to folks on demand and on the downloads. Jon Moxley, Chris Jericho, this interview. One of the biggest things I was able to take away from this podcast was Moxley was very articulate. Very, very articulate. And that was something that kind of I was really taken back by, because I knew how much of a talker he was leading up to coming into the WWE. I knew that. I knew some of his work from CZW, so I had already gotten a really good grasp on him, heard about him off and on throughout the years, long before he did his thing in the WWE, right? So he comes into the WWE and it's, okay, all right, this is good. Let's see what happens. And it all kind of falls back on what I initially felt with regards to the Shield. When they finally formed and they were in the WWE, I told you guys, I said, hey, originally, and longtime listeners know this, I said when I first looked at the Shield, as far as who is money, who is probably going to be able to be a breakout superstar from the Shield, and the order I said was Dean Ambrose for sure, Roman Reigns. Actually, no, I said Roman Reigns first. I said Roman Reigns looks like money. That's my number one. My number two guy was Dean Ambrose. The one that was the wild card, the one that I really was not sure about, was Seth Rollins. And boy, it was kind of interesting how the order kind of played itself out, so to speak, right? But if there was one thing that I was really amazed at, even though I already knew how much of a good talker Dean Ambrose was, my biggest takeaway from this Talk is Jericho podcast was the fact that he is very articulate. And hearing the buzz about this show today from so many people on social media, it vividly reminded me of the CM Punk pipe bomb interview. And what I mean by that, you gotta bear with me. I've been at work all day, so I really have not been on social media like that, seeing what everybody else had thought about this. So this is legitimately my own thoughts from my own heart. I'm just speaking from the heart. Because truth be told, you know, after I got done with work, I came home, played with my dog for a bit, watched a little bit of ESPN, took a cat nap. That pretty much was it. Got ready to do the show for you guys. But what I mean by the CM Punk pipe bomb is from this standpoint, which was I can remember when part 1 dropped of the Colt Cabana podcast with CM Punk. And so many people were going, holy shit, it's here. Punk is finally breaking his silence. Oh man, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be so fucking cool. And it delivered the fireworks on so many cylinders. On so many cylinders did it deliver. And I could just remember the buzz that was happening for just, my God, to actually be living in that moment during that time when that audio dropped. People were just in a frenzy for at least 3 weeks. At least 3 weeks on that. So that buzz that was happening with that CM Punk Colt Cabana show, it almost kind of felt like that same aura, you know, when I go to the Chris Jericho Moxley interview, right? So just from that standpoint, when I went into this, I never once thought Moxley is going to go into this and he's going to bury WWE in such a way that there's going to be some serious ramifications coming at the way of his wife, Renee Young. I never did believe in that. I felt that just based on what I knew from a fan perspective, kind of growing up looking at Moxley from the other promotions, kind of getting a really good sense mentally where he was in the WWE, I kind of got a vibe that, no, he's going to make his point, but he's not going to do it in such a way where it's very bitter. He's going to do it in a way where it's constructive feedback when it's all said and done. And that's exactly how he delivered his criticism of his tenure during the WWE. Now, look, I'm not going to do a fucking recap. I'm not going to do that. I want to try to approach this unique as humanly possible without spamming on this for several minutes. But, I mean, look, when it's all said and done, when you've been podcasting for as long as I have, when you've had the opportunity to interview people for as long as I have, and many of the people that you interview, you're able to talk to them off the camera. You're able to talk to them off the record about some of the stuff that's happening and certain promotions and things of that nature. When you have friends and associates that are connected to the wrestling business, be it they're running their own wrestling website or they have their own respected wrestling promotion, you name it, you know, you learn some things here and there. When you're in a position where you invest and shoot interviews and you learn from said wrestler about, hey, this is the problem that's going on with this promotion, or yeah, this is what it was like working with so-and-so, insert name, insert company name here. When you have just repeatedly made it be your business to get involved like that, you learn a thing or two. And when you learn a thing or two, when you get to the point of where we're at right now with what all Moxley said in this Jericho podcast, you go, not really that surprised. You know, it's just the reason why people are paying such great attention is because of the cachet and the talent that is speaking about his time in the WWE. This isn't some, all right, well, this guy's in his 50s now. He's getting ready to creep up on his 60s. He's pretty much washed up. He's called it a career. He's basically done. No, this is a young 33-year-old man that came to the WWE when he was a kid. You know, 8 years. Hard to believe it's been 8 years. 8 years just fly by real fucking quick. I know, like, in a couple of years, we're getting ready to celebrate our 10th anniversary. And I was telling the missus the other day, can you believe I've been doing this shit for 10 years? That means people have watched me grow older, right? Because I'm now starting to get gray in my beard and all that shit. It's like, can you believe that? Like, people have been watching me for almost 10 years. And she goes, no, I can believe that, because you remember some of the people that were with you when you first began doing the show, they were in school. Some of them were in high school, remember? I was like, oh yeah. And we started going down memory lane on some of the people that were early listeners and everything. And I still get that to this day. It's cool. It's nice really feeling old when I get somebody that will say, once in a blue moon, oh my God, dude, I remember listening to you when I was in junior year in high school. Oh my God, you were the shit, man. I can't believe you're still doing this. That's awesome. Because so many of the other guys that I used to listen to, they're gone now. And man, it's so nice to see you doing your thing. How you been, man? It's like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. What's going on with you? And it's nice hearing where some of these people are now. Some of them are in college. Some of them already got their college degrees and they're out there in the workforce. So it always puts a smile on my face when I hear from longtime listeners like that. But, you know, what Moxley said, it doesn't surprise me. It's just the fact that the cachet and the talent that is speaking about their time in the WWE, that's what's really putting so many eyes on a serious problem that we all, let's be honest, we all have known for a long time that's been happening in the WWE. And with all due respect to the people that feel that, and this is no bullshit, you legitimately have people that feel, because of shows like mine and others, even though I tell people, hey, look, when it comes to your favorite wrestling promotion, when it comes to your favorite wrestlers, it's nothing personal when I, Lee Sanders, talk about them. I strictly look at things from just a professional perspective. If there's any criticism, it's constructive. Right? It's not about bashing. It's not about putting down. It's not about always being negative. It is about, okay, here's the situation. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Here's how you improve it. I've given praise when it's needed. I've given constructive criticism and feedback where it's needed. But you legitimately have those that feel shows like mine and others have been hurting the WWE because, oh no, it's doing good. It's good right now. You know, no, you guys in your shows, that's what's hurting the WWE. And it's, oh, okay, well, what do you say to those that are actually working behind the scenes? What do you say to those that are actually working for WWE? What do you say to those that are actually in the promotion themselves, that are speaking nothing but the gospel? What, are you going to call them liars? Are you going to say that they are misinformed? I would be a fly on the wall to see how these people that feel the way they feel about podcasts that, in their eyes, put down the WWE, I'm curious, what do they have to say now that someone that, without a doubt, they've probably have enjoyed all these years in a Dean Ambrose, what do they have to say now that he said what he said about the WWE? About the whole creative process, right? So, over the past couple of weeks, we've heard that the writers have been a bit disappointed with how podcasts have been burying them. And basically saying, no, these guys, they got it all wrong. We try, we work our butts off, but it's really hard because Vince McMahon has so many filters, and whatever story we're initially thinking, there's so many filters all connected to Vince McMahon, it changes multiple times, and then the end result is what you see, and it's not matching up to what we initially had tried to pitch. It's okay, but now we're hearing directly from a talent that goes into this company, has been going into this company for some years now, and is given scripts of what to say, right? We all kind of knew about that, right? But to really hear Jon Moxley be in this position where, perfect example, this shit about the gas mask, the poop mask, right? Pooper scooper, right? That was what it was, pooper scooper. Saw some stupid ass line in the script about pooper scooper, and there was no way He was going to say that. He felt it was too hokey dokey. He felt it was stupid. He felt it was a disservice to his character and what his character was about. He had a better sense of what would come out of the mouth of his character than the 20, 30, 40 plus writers that's writing this shit for him. They're already, the writers, coming off a little bit disgruntled or whatever. Now, you think it would be easy to just say, hey man, I don't really like that. We got to change that. Well, no, there's so much goddamn red tape. It's not even funny. So you got to go through this ridiculous and stupid, I might add, chain of command just to try to get something rewritten and ultimately get the okay from VKM. And then VKM, right, they were able to luckily get that pooper scooper thing out of there in time, but there was something in there about Ambrose saying something about a surgical mask or whatever, and you've got VKM putting in these stupid notes that Dean needs to understand his character more. Dean cannot request revisions and all this other bullshit. And then what does he say to Dean? But you're wacky, you're cool. The fans, they get you. They love this. They love you. And it almost, you know, and here's where it's consistent with Moxley. Here's where it's very consistent. And I wish Jericho did a really good job with this, by the way. I got to give him a lot of props because he really just let the conversation he had with Moxley breathe. And that's where I really got to give him a lot of props, because this wasn't just basically a question, answer. This was basically Moxley needing to get a lot of stuff off of his chest. And Jericho just, once in a blue moon, saying a little something. But this was Moxley's story to tell. This was basically his show to hijack, right? And host, right? So I love how they went about this. Just nice breathing room for Moxley when it was all said and done. To hear about this whole bullshit with the red tape and trying to get things over, and I just can't help but kind of be reminded to earlier times in the WWE when you didn't have all of those writers and all of those different people all in the ear of a Vince McMahon, when it was simpler times and you just had a small team of about 3, 4, maybe 5 guys at most that pretty much was doing everything, right? Gone are those days, and you know, God bless Moxley from this standpoint. He went in there and he said, okay, and here's what I mean by consistency. Remember I said that just a couple of minutes ago. Moxley has always been consistent from this standpoint, and I wish Jericho would have gone there just to kind of make it full circle, which seals without a shadow of doubt in my mind everything that he was speaking was the gospel. And I guarantee you there's not going to be a lot of people that's going to make this reference. So if you hear this reference, remember where you heard it from first, which is you go as far back to the Dean Ambrose interview on the Stone Cold podcast. And remember how Stone Cold was just hammering into Ambrose all throughout that episode. I remember coming on the RCWR show the very next day after that aired, and I remember saying how Stone Cold, he lost brownie points with me because it almost seemed like Stone Cold was more interested in getting himself in the show over and not really interested in doing whatever he could to put, at that time, the WWE champion in Dean Ambrose over. And if you guys remember, there was one particular thing that Dean Ambrose had said, which pretty much makes everything full circle to where we are now with how everything led up to his exit from the WWE, which was Ambrose saying during that Stone Cold podcast, hey, look, I can pitch whatever ideas I want. I can do XYZ till I'm blue in the face. But at the end of the day, I am just a kid playing in somebody else's sandbox. I'm playing with their toys. It's their rules. And so when you go back and you are listening to this Jericho podcast, you can't help but go, keeping that in mind, right? My challenge to you all, go back and listen to it again and think about that Stone Cold podcast now, especially that part that I just mentioned. Everything comes full circle. And so from that standpoint alone, it's like, okay, this is very consistent, right? This is matching up to the Ambrose from some years ago. And remember, that Stone Cold podcast, that was not a couple of years ago now, right? I'm not going to even speculate how many years ago was that. I'll leave that all for you to figure out. I'm not going to go back and make that be a trivia question or anything. But it's sad to hear that you got all of this stuff happening in the company. What's even sadder, and I tweeted this, what's even sadder is that WWE would probably still have Dean Ambrose this very day. Jon Moxley, they would probably have him this very day if they just took a step back and passionately listened to where this man was coming from his injuries. One injury he had was only supposed to be out about 4 months, but got a staph infection, some other complications, boom. Next thing you know, that 4 months turns into 8 months. Okay, well, you know what? Let's use this time. Come on back, refreshed, come back new. Time to hit the reset button. I can remember making my rounds, checking out some of my other friends' podcasts and everything. And collectively, we all were going, you know what? If there was ever a time for Ambrose to hit the hard reset, come on back, add a new layer to his character. This is the time while he's out. He so needs a refresher. Wacky Dean is just not working. We need something better. That's exactly what he wanted. And to hear how passionately he was trying to get this going, and he was kind of led to the impression that, okay, yeah, they're listening, but comes back and it's pretty much the regular hokey dokey bullshit before he even left. My God, to see him in the best phenomenal shape that he was when he came back from injury, that's the best that he looked since he got hired by WWE. This guy looked mega fucking badass. This guy looked like he had a serious fucking chip on his shoulders, and just the way that they did him when he came back failed on so many levels. So many levels, it wasn't even funny. Wasn't even funny. You know, the real kicker for me, was just, you would think that after 8 years in the company, making a decent amount of money in merchandise sales and all that for Vince, for the WWE, you would think that at this point, McMahon and crew would say, okay, you know what? All right, we'll give you a little rope. We'll see where you go. All right, you want a little bit more creative control over your character, your scripts and all that? Okay, we'll go ahead. We'll give it to you. Let's see where it goes. And the fact that they didn't go in that direction it's quite sad. It's quite sad because it's almost kind of like hearing somebody crying for help, and they're pleading, they're begging, they're screaming, and the calls for help goes unanswered. Well, what the hell do you think is eventually going to happen if you keep ignoring that person's cries? What do you think is going to happen if you keep ignoring that person's pleads? What do you think is going to happen? So for him to realize, hey, I only got 8 months left on my contract, I'm just going to quietly let this roll out. I am not renewing. His mind was pretty much made up. Like, as soon as he returned from injury, I mean, he was already thinking about it as soon as he was out, but for him to come back, usual hokey dokey bullshit, okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm done. Didn't even look at his new contract. That's how frustrated he was with the whole creative process, just everything. I don't blame the guy. I don't blame the guy. I think any one of us that would have been in that position, some people would say, hey, why rock the boat? You're making good money. Well, it's quite simple. There's a lot more to life than just money. In some cases. Now, we're going to talk about Mike and Maria Kanellis in a little bit, because that's an entirely different set of circumstances. So, y'all may be a little bit shocked what I have to say with regards to them. But let's stay with Moxley for just a little bit longer. I like the way he handled this. You know, it wasn't bitter, or it wasn't burying the company on the way out. It was just, okay, whatever dates I need to go to, that's what I'm going to do. You would think after he said to crew, hey, I'm not going to re-sign. I'm done. I can talk to Vince. It's no problem, but I'm done. I'm not re-signing with you guys. You know, you would think that more of an effort would be made to, is there anything we can do aside from money? Because Lord knows that's the one thing that's been consistent over the years about Moxley, which is he's pretty good managing his money. I've heard that constantly over the years from some of the people that I've spoken to. So it's like, it's not a money thing. And it was great hearing him say with regards to working for AEW, it's not about the money. You know, whether it was AEW or New Japan or whoever the promotion was, it was never about money. Even if it was a case where WWE was the only promotion in town, if that meant he had to go open up his own school, maybe try to start up his own promotion, so be it. But he knew he was done with the WWE. He was still in love with wrestling. He still had the passion for it. He just did not have the passion for working in the WWE any longer. Totally understandable. Totally fucking understandable. I'm sure many of us can apply how he felt in the real world with some of the jobs we've had over the years, or maybe even currently, right? So I like how he just did all of his dates. I like how he touched upon the whole Nia Jax situation. I was hoping we would get a little bit more information on what exactly happened. Was that a sponsor deal that stepped in saying, hey, look, WWE, we don't... Even he didn't know why it had stopped. He was pretty white hot about this feud, not from the standpoint of, you know, oh, hey, wait a minute, it's a woman. You guys got me facing what the hell? But more so, what the fuck are you guys doing to me as I'm on my way out the door here? Like, he thought after he made the announcement, because remember how they brought him back? They brought him back, if I'm not mistaken, they brought him back a week before SummerSlam, and he wanted to return at SummerSlam. It's like, okay, if you guys are going to have me return at SummerSlam. That makes a lot more sense, but they didn't even do that shit right. And then you would think, what he's saying, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a smart-ass mentality, because it's, hey, why waste a return when you're just a week out from a pay-per-view, one of your major 4 pay-per-views from the company? Why not put as many eyeballs on your pay-per-view as humanly possible? Get those network subscriptions. Get those pay-per-view buy rates, right? Cable satellite providers. Get everything up. Yeah, put him on the fucking pay-per-view. You don't let Brock Lesnar fight for free on an episode of Raw or SmackDown, right? Yeah, he does what he needs to do for the ratings on those shows, but you don't let him fight on those shows. So, what the fuck? I don't... Just the whole process. Stupid just how they did him. Just very, very stupid. And it leaves you just... Yeah, I get the writers. At the end of the day, I get the writers. I can only defend them, but to a certain standpoint. And listening to Moxley say you've got so many people that are walking on eggshells, so many people that are afraid to speak up, because if they speak up, they fear that's their job, right? So a lot of these people, even the writers themselves, they know that a lot of what's going down is wrong, but nobody has the backbone to speak openly about it, right? But Moxley, every single time he had a issue creatively or whatever, it seems that's the only time he had issues, right down to the point some line that they had wanted him to say, kind of following up on Roman Reigns and his whole leukemia diagnosis. Apparently this was not what he said the first go round when he was getting ready to feud with Rollins. Not that time, but there was another instance where they had something in the script that they wanted him to say, and he actually had a friend that was dealing with some serious health issues, and he put his foot down. He said, I'm not saying that. No, fuck you. Not saying that. And eventually it got up to Vince, and he still maintained his position. And Vince reluctantly, well, if that's how you feel, I totally respect that. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, it shouldn't even come to that. It should just be a one-time, hey, I don't feel comfortable. No, that's putting me out of my element. I really, really... And I wish he could have repeated what the line was, but apparently it was so bad that if he would have said it on television, somebody would have gotten fired, probably him. That's how bad the line was. I really would have liked to know what exactly that was all about, but I don't think he's ever going to reveal that. But you're just kind of left to the idea of, well, you know what, I really wouldn't put it past WWE writers and creative at that, if there was no thought process on, okay, yeah, okay, that looks good. Oh yeah, that part right there, that's fantastic. Well, wait a minute. Could there be any ramifications if this is said? And if so, what kind of ramifications can we expect? You know, everybody is so... That's what happens when you got so many cooks in the fucking kitchen when it's all said and done. So, very insightful conversation. And I like how things just pretty much ended in such a graceful way, where the last thing he wanted to do was have his wife be in a position where she's catching a bit of backlash, right? Now, some people would say, well, she's not exactly out of the woods just yet, but I think only time will tell. You know, these next 60 days, 90 months, I think that's going to be a telling tale. But let me tell you something. If WWE wants to be that petty with Renee Young, let's remember at one point she came pretty damn close to landing a gig outside of the WWE. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember right, there was a time where she was coming pretty close to working for ESPN, if I'm not mistaken. But she had went on ahead and stayed with WWE after they made a more lucrative deal for her, right? So Renee is going to be okay when it's all said and done. You know, I said this once before, and I know with regards to Renee Young, her commentating, we can all be in agreement. Her commentating, you know, enough said. I don't need to go any further than that. But before the whole commentating position on Raw went down, who she reminded me of was somebody that grew up out here in the nation's capital. She reminded me, and still does to this day, she reminds me a lot of Lindsay Zarniak. And for those of you that major rounds, you know exactly who she is, but for those of you not really familiar with her, Lindsay Zarniak, born and raised out here in the Washington D.C. area, played sports and everything. Girl was coming up through the ranks and became one hell of a great sports anchor over here for NBC Channel 4 here in D.C., WRC TV. And she was one of the last few people to come up when the late George Michael was still alive and kicking, and he was still doing the George Michael Sports Machine. Now, I don't want people being cute and saying, oh, George Michael the singer. No. George Michael is a legendary sports broadcaster. If you don't know anything about George Michael, Google Bing that bitch. That's your best friend, right? But he used to show a lot of love to pro wrestling on his show, especially whenever he was doing his sports segments and all that. But particularly on the George Michael Sports Machine, he showed a lot of love to covering pro wrestling, particularly from the WWE. So he was covering it way back when it was WWF and all that. That's how far back he goes. But I remember when Lindsay Zarniak was coming up the ranks, George Michael, and I was able to get this information firsthand because one of my woman's friends actually used to work at NBC4 headquarters in DC, and George took a strong liking to Lindsay Zarniak and was trying to do everything in his power to show her the ropes because he saw so much great potential in her. And when NBC4 started doing their massive budget cuts and it came down to, okay, well, who are we going to get rid of? Who are we going to keep? She was among a few others that were talked about being put on the chopping block and all that. And George just said, okay, look, you know what? No, we're not doing any of that. I'm old. I've had a good run. I'm having my health problems anyway. It's all good. I'll step down. And, you know, pretty much once that was established, little by little, we just started seeing all of his shows go away. We started seeing the George Michael Sports Machine. We started seeing the Redskins reports, all the little side shows that he was doing, all of those just disappeared one by one by one by one by one. But Lindsay Czarniak was still there. Now, eventually, Lindsay Czarniak, she would move on. She would do stuff once in a blue moon, ESPN, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that she would do here and there. But she was so fucking awesome. And so when I look at Renee Young, you thought I was off the rails. There's always a connection. So when I look at Renee Young, and I'm sure a lot of people that know Lindsay Czarniak would definitely agree with me in that comparison. That's why Renee reminds me so much of Lindsay. And I'm telling you, you put Renee in the right position, she really, really shines. And she's trying at the commentating position. I just don't know if she can get even better than where she is right now. But if WWE were to try to be petty, Renee is going to be okay when it's all said and done. So I don't really think we all need to be concerned with that whatsoever. And I like how the opportunity for Moxley to come into AEW pretty much had presented itself. You know, you really get the sense, and it's really nice hearing from somebody outside, having worked in one promotion for so many years, really kind of be a new set of eyes and ears, and letting us all in the wrestling community know that, no, man, take it from me as a wrestler that worked for this promotion and now I'm coming over here. You know, this is a promotion from the boys, you know, by the boys. You know, we're trying to do everything we can to present a really cool, fun alternative. You know, it's loose over here. We don't have to worry about scripts, and that's ridiculous about the scripts, by the way. It really, really is. To hear about these wrestlers that's just basically coming into the WWE, and they've got these pages of lines that they basically need to memorize. Don't worry about improv. Don't worry about, you know, trying to, oh, I'll just go out there and I don't need no, don't worry about that. We already got your script. Okay, well, let me go out there and let me have some fun with my match. Just tell me how much time I got. Eh, don't worry about that either, because we got that structured down as well. It's very, very, there's too many cooks. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. And until WWE, Vince McMahon, really sits down and, you know, honestly, if I'm Vince McMahon, any employer with a conscience, well, goddamn, here's a young guy that I had here that was making me some decent money, had a great following, man, we just tried to give him a new deal and he turned it away. Man, you know, I've been hearing what he's been saying off and on, but for him to just finally put his foot down, and is my way of thinking and doing business outdated? Is it maybe time for me to kind of take a little bit of a step back and maybe fine-tune some things going forward? Like, what the hell? And, you know, the sad part, it really does come off as if things will not change. Possibly. I use that term very loosely. Possibly. Until Vince passes away. It's not a guarantee that once Vince McMahon passes away, it's not a guarantee that Stephanie and Paul Levesque, all right, old man's gone, now we can really get down to the heart of the matter. And really, it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. So people that are continuing to say, well, once Vince McMahon dies, we're going to be okay, I wouldn't be too sure about that. I really, really would not. So, you know, it's really nice to hear Moxley feeling so re-energized, just creatively, just, you know, all the cool shit that he can now go out there and do. There's no restrictions, there's no filters. I'm very curious to see what this guy is going to be able to do this go round, but most importantly, I'm most curious to see what this AEW promotion can do. And just to kind of follow up, you know, on what's going on with Moxley, Tony Khan, one of the things that he did talk about, and this may put a smile on some of you all's faces, for those of you all that love to have your different tastes of wrestling promotions and all that, Tony Khan, he had recently talked about AEW not using scripted promos. And he also talked about their appeal to the young adults and everything. And he had did this with the guys over at Bustin' Open Radio. So he said, and I quote, "When you see a guy reading off a teleprompter or a mental teleprompter, just trying to recite a script or trying to look up in the air when you forget a line, it is hard to suspend disbelief when the wrestler doesn't believe in the real life situation that is unfolding." So like I said, I am not surprised that we are drawing young viewers. It was part of the plan going in. Being the elite is going to be a lot different than the wrestling show that we do, but that is the point. We are going to provide a serious sports-based product from bell to bell along the lines of what you saw from Double or Nothing. Something you're going to notice more and more is that things are going to take place in and around the ring. We are not going to go out of the arena. We are not going to spend half the show backstage in dressing rooms or backstage in choreographed segments. I'm really interested in focusing on the matches, and there are plenty of times outside the matches to focus on storyline advancements, to focus on the funny sketches, and we can do all that. And nobody does that comedy better than our guys. All right, so, you know, it's really nice to hear that they're going to try to do their very best to, you know, you can't help but I know a lot of people, attitude error. And, you know, one of the main things that a lot of people loved about the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era, there is one really good thing. You can say what you say about, well, this thing, when you go back and look at it in 2019, when you go back and look at the Attitude Era now, you go, man, how could the product be in this direction and how they treated insert whatever here, right? But if there's one strong thing that really stands out from the Attitude Era that made a lot of people go, oh, no, that was badass, even to a degree when you look at the Monday Night War and everything, is the fact that the talent were able to go out there and just figure the shit out. They have their bullet points, but they were able to go out there and there's your canvas, try to paint a picture, figure out what works. And what a lot of these guys were doing was really, really fucking magical. You either had the gift of the gab or you didn't. And if you had it, I mean, the way it would just radiate to everybody else on the roster. I mean, my God, you go back to the Attitude Era and Rock coming out there cutting a promo and you're like, God damn. Man, he lit this place on fire, and still to come. We got Stone Cold. We got Chris Jericho. We got DX. How are they going to top? You know, it was almost kind of a nice, friendly competition back then. Okay, man, that promo was fire. Okay, top that, right? And you just don't see that happening anymore. So, for me, it's not about AEW. You know, I get everybody. And I thought it was kind of silly seeing what some of the people were saying about Double or Nothing and all that. WWE better be careful. They better be careful. Vince McMahon better be careful because he's about to get dethroned. It's like, it's going to take a lot more than one pay-per-view to even try. There's nothing wrong with being a damn good number 2. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to be number 1, though, you got to be in it. And I know a lot of these guys that signed with AEW, they're in it for the long haul. But if you want to try to be the new number 1, you got to be in it for a long-term plan. At least 10 years. Minimum. Just to really... We know Billy Corben, he's got his 30-year plan, right, with the NWA, right? But at least 10 years to really properly build the foundation, build the momentum and everything. You got to at least commit 10 years, everybody, even the Khan family especially. You got to commit to 10 years just to, there's nothing wrong with being a good number 2 alternative. Now, maybe the flip side to that, as you become a number 2, flip side to that, in essence, you're starting to become the new number 1 because of the different things that you're doing opposite of the WWE, right? I must say, it kind of broke my heart. Good segue to Final Stamp. Good interview. Talk is Jericho, Chris Jericho. Fantastic job, my friend. If you did not listen to it, go out of your way. Listen to the Talk is Jericho podcast. I don't think there's really anything more we need to say, any more layers that needs to be added. Now, if you're checking out the show via Discord, something new that we're going to start doing once the show is over, live on all the other outlets, if there's a decent amount of questions in the Discord chat, what will happen is once I'm off the air, for you, our Discord members, I will actually spend about 15-20 minutes. I'll go back and forth with you guys, answering you all's questions and all that. So if you're a long-time listener, you should already have the hookup to Discord. If not, make sure you get at me on the Twitter or Facebook. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. But good segue, you know, Monday Night Raw. You know, coming off of that pay-per-view, you're going, okay. Yeah, it was only one pay-per-view. AEW's got a weekly show that's going to be happening later this fall, but, you know, that's in a couple of months. But kind of curious, how's WWE, if at all? Are they going to kind of step their game up a little bit, just a little bit? What are they going to do? And a below average show when it's all said and done. This isn't coming from somebody that is a WWE hater. This is somebody that checks out many different wrestling promotions, right? And I can honestly tell you what we had got Monday night. I've seen better Memorial Day episodes of Raw. I'm sure many of you can recall better Memorial Day episodes of Raw. So we put a poll out. As always, when Raw goes off the air, we poll you guys. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I want to read to you guys the results now that a little bit more time has passed and everything. So we asked you, what did you think about Raw this week? So heading over to Facebook, poll had went as followed here. I'm going to pull this up here real quick. There we go. Alright, so Facebook, I am seeing the following. Got almost 20 votes here. We got 8 thumbs up, 12 thumbs down. So 12 thumbs down is taking the lead. Over on Twitter, appreciate those of you that had took the Twitter poll. We got about 87% of you gave Raw a thumbs down. 13% of you gave it a thumbs up. Once again, 87% of you gave it a thumbs down. 13% of you gave Raw a thumbs up. And over on YouTube, YouTube is as follows. We have 83% of you giving it a thumbs down, and 17% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Once again, on YouTube, 83% of you are giving it a thumbs down. 17% of you are giving it a thumbs up. So unanimously, no matter what the platform is, unanimously it's thumbs down. Thumbs down. So basically you only had 2 really good matches on Raw for this week. And everything else, I've never seen so many talking segments. I've never seen so many backstage segments in my entire life for one fucking show. That's 3 hours long. There were so many fillers. It wasn't even funny. You know, I just couldn't help but go, well, wait a minute now. What's this about the 3rd hour or whatever being dedicated to the 24/7 title? It's going to have a more dominant position on the flagship show Raw. And okay, well, wait a minute. It's a Memorial Day holiday themed episode. Now more than ever, don't you think you should tap into your, I don't know, 205 roster and maybe put a couple of really good 205 matches on there? I don't know. Don't you think it makes a bit of sense to maybe tap into your NXT roster and maybe do a bit of an experiment and try out a couple of cats that maybe somewhere down the road you're kind of considering bringing them up on the main roster, and just for shits and giggles, just to see what they might be able to do. Give a couple, I don't know, give like four individuals an opportunity to see how they do on a holiday themed episode. Even if you don't get the viewership that you want overall for the show, ratings are a little bit hey, at least you could just say, but it was a holiday episode, so it's all good. But this is like the time, I think, where you should be trying a little bit of an experiment or two, right? But no, just filled with a lot of backstage bullshit. I remember watching Raw, and I couldn't help but go, wait a minute, it's now been, and I'm pretty sure I had put the tweet out. I think at one point I had said, man, it's been like an hour and 15 minutes already, and we haven't got one legit fucking wrestling match yet. Like, what the fuck is going on? And what was the real telling tale for me, I'm sure they probably edited big time on Hulu and all the other outlets, right? But when you got to that part where Shane McMahon was talking, and he was just talking and talking. No, I get it from the fans' perspective. Some people could shit on that all they want, and some people can, all you fans that booed Shane, and, no. I understand where those fans that were live in attendance were coming from. At this point, they had been sitting through multiple segments of bullshit. Bullshit. That honestly could have played out while they were waiting for Raw to actually start, right? It's Raw. We should be all about the action, right? We should be all about the emotion and all that. And by the time Shane comes out, you've already sucked all the energy out of the crowd, because you've got nothing but backstage this, pre-tape that, and all this other shit. And now you got Shane coming out. Would be one thing if you have Shane come on now. Alright, he's got a match. But to have him come out and spend 10 minutes talking, a telling tale that it was when you have fans chanting AEW. WWE cannot keep operating like this. They cannot. And, things may not change right now. They legit may just say, we're going to ride the summer out. But let me tell you something. Once that shit goes down with AEW doing that weekly show, I think that's going to be the telling tale as far as where exactly WWE is going to be going and setting themselves up for the remainder of that fourth quarter, going in the first quarter of next year. But all said and done, 2 matches for Monday Night Raw. 2 fucking matches. And you get right down to the point, can anybody even recall the 2 matches that was on Raw? Can anybody even recall that? If you can recall that, that's good for you, because there was so much bullshit that you had to filter through for 3 hours. Not really memorable when it was all said and done. Even when you go to the whole Brock Lesnar segment with Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar coming out, and I had a hearty chuckle. Who didn't have a hearty chuckle seeing him come out there, fucking Radio Raheem Lesnar, right? From Do the Right Thing. He's coming out there with the boombox and shit. That was kind of funny, right? But to stretch out Lesnar for 2-3 segments or whatever, and Lesnar finally, it comes time for him to reveal the opponent that he's going to cash in his Money in the Bank contract on. Well, wait a minute, I got a whole year? You're telling me I got a whole year before I cash this in? I got up to a year to cash this in? What the fuck are we doing here then for? That for me was just stupid on so many levels as well. I'm happy. Now look, if I can say, okay, I am happy from this standpoint, or at least a little bit of good. I'm happy from the standpoint of now you've got that surprise element. You just do not know when Lesnar is going to cash in this briefcase. But you would like to believe that right before SmackDown moves on over to Fox, that maybe, and I've been saying it weekly almost, if not every other week, for the past several weeks now, we are going to get to that point, I feel, whatever the pay-per-view is before SmackDown moves to Fox, I think that's where you're going to have Lesnar cash in that Money in the Bank contract, become the new WWE champion. Boom. There's your drawing attraction for the blue brand when it's all said and done. So I feel that I feel that's the script that they're going with. And I've been saying that now, my God, I feel like I've been saying that. God, it feels like I've been saying that off and on for 3 weeks. I know I've mentioned that at least 3 times now. So maybe it has been 3 weeks. Who knows? But I've been saying that for a while now. So that, for me, seeing Brock Lesnar, though, even though he's not cashing it in, it was still stupid. Because it's almost kind of like you get a brand new TV from Best Buy. You know, you got your warranty or whatever, and you're interested in getting a refund or some stupid shit, and you know, oh, hey, so did you want to turn in the TV today? Because, you know, you have up until, well, wait, I got up until, well, what the fuck am I doing here for? Let me go milk this for all it's worth before it kind of felt like one of those type of swerves or whatever. You know, I didn't like how that had went down. I appreciate the fact that WWE tried to shake it up a little bit and put Lesnar on the Memorial Day episode, but even at that for me was not enough. And you know, to the point, you go to how the viewership had did for this Monday's WWE Raw, kind of piss poor when it's all said and done. I'm looking at it right now here. Let me pull this up in the notes here, and let's see, where can I find that motherfucker? Here we go. Raw had averaged the second lowest viewership of the year. And this is for a Memorial Day episode. Main event, which had featured Seth Rollins defeating Sami Zayn, non-title matchup, drew 2.190 million viewers. This is down 13% from last week's 2.521 million viewers for the post Money in the Bank episode, and the second lowest audience of 2019. Now, to compare it, it was down 12.2% from the 2.494 million viewers for the 2018 Memorial Day show. Once again, home in on that. When you're comparing to last year, down 12.2% from last year's Memorial Day show, which at the time was a new low for that respected year. So when you go back to 2018, the 2017 Memorial Day show had averaged 2.613 million viewers, which was also a new low for 2017 at that respected point. We can go back a little further. The 2016 Memorial Day edition of Raw had averaged 3.229 million. Now, home in on that. I love numbers sometime as much as the next person, and I can get a little bit crazy when it comes to metrics, okay? Especially looking at analytic shit for the show and all that. So just marinate on that for a second, right? If there's like 3 major numbers I want for you to home in on, is this. 2016, you had 3.229 million viewers. 2017, you go to 2.613 million viewers. 2018, you go to 2.494 million viewers. And now this year, in 2019, you go to 2.190 million viewers. Talk about a steady decline. I mean, for these Memorial Day episodes alone, you know, we're almost now teasing at that 1.9, 1.8 something million viewers for the Raw product. So that's a telling tale. So where'd the rest of the viewership go? From 2016 to 17, that's a pretty substantial decline. Where did everybody go? And then the year after that, where did everybody go? Yeah, so on a yearly basis here, around the same time of the year, they're losing more and more and more viewers, right? So it just goes to show you, and this has kind of been a recurring theme that I've noticed as long as I've been doing this show. You know, something that me and Damian Abraham of the wrestlers on Viceland had talked about, which even if you didn't check that out, go check it out. It was a really great conversation. I'm expecting a couple of wrestling media outlets to pick up on that, because I did reach out to some of them. It should be getting publicized before the week is out. Everybody's still a little bit high off of the whole Double or Nothing thing. But, you know, it kind of follows up on what me and him were talking about and what's been kind of a recurring theme for the past couple of weeks now, which has been, you know, the Raw product is not quite what it used to be. WWE as a whole is not what it used to be as far as the quality goes. And what's really been a telling tale is the fact that you've got probably one of the best rosters that's out there today, just top to bottom. The roster, as far as the talent itself is there. But, so quality-wise, the talent, that's there. But when you look at these scripts, it's the scripts that is really the booking and all that. That's where it's really nerve-wracking. That's where things are really frustrating. And, you know, look, I really hope that, I'm being optimistic as a motherfucker. I'm really hoping that with AEW, look, just from the moment that the Khan family got involved, and they finally got this TV deal with TNT, they're already the new number 2. They're already the new number 2. What I hope is that everything that they're saying that they're going to do, I just hope that they continue to stick to the script. They're learning from the mistake that a WWE, Impact Wrestling, other promotions have made, and they're able to capitalize. They are able to capitalize. I hope that they do extremely well, because sometimes you need for new blood to come in there, kick the fucking door down, and create shockwaves. Sometimes you need that. So I'm really hoping. The hell is that? Hang on a second here, guys. I'm hearing shit. Actually, you know what? Hang on a second. I don't know. I think I'm hearing a weird ass noise here. Hang on a second. Let's see here. I don't know if that's the puppy talking or what's going on here. Let's see what's going on. We interrupt this show to bring you the following from the RCWR Show. Let's see here.
I was going to say, who the hell is calling me 11?
Was that you I just heard?
Probably. I'm so awake.
Oh, okay. No, I thought I heard Maggie or I just want to make sure, you know, yeah, you weren't having a life alert moment, you know?
No, I'm fine.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you still talking to, what's her face?
Nicole, yeah, I'm getting ready off shortly.
Nah, that's all right. Tell her I said hi.
Oh, okay, will do.
You want to say hello to the listeners? We're live on the air.
Ah, funny. Hello, everybody.
All right, hon. I'll come in there in a little bit, all right?
All right.
All right, love you. All right.
Love you too.
All right, bye. Okay. Wait a minute. There we go. So, all right. So you guys heard a weird noise. I wasn't sure what the hell that was. All right. Lovely Mrs. making a little cameo there. Okay, so anyway. Where were we? Kick that motherfucker down. You know, I really hope that they do well. I really do. I really hope that they do well, because that gets everybody else talking. That will have... It's a domino effect when it's all said and done. It's a... Well, thank you. It's a domino effect. Put that on vibrate so I don't have to worry about that. It'll create a domino effect that will make everybody else step their game up. You know, there's one promotion I'm a little bit concerned about that could get really lost in the shuffle as a result of everything that's going on right now, and that's Ring of Honor. You know, I can't help but look at Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor, they have moving so slow. It's not even funny. You know, they've been comfortable, they've been complacent. That's the better word. They've been complacent with, oh, well, you know, doing the minimum over here, that's been great for us, we're okay. Yeah, you know, we don't need to do all this other stuff, you know. And only in the later years did they finally kind of start getting a little bit serious about, okay, well, maybe we should kind of, and you just look at the pace in which they have moved. And God, there used to be a time where you look at ROH and you go, well, they got this talent and they got this talent, and oh my God, they got this talent. And then a case where, well, that talent is now gone. Well, next man up. And somebody has always successfully been able to pick up the ball and just keep on going and really helping do their part to put ROH on the map. And, Jay Lethal. God, I love me some Jay Lethal, man. Fucking awesome. He's been really great for that promotion. But you look at the current era of ROH that we're in right now, and you look at some of the other talents that's in there, and let's be real, all right? Let's keep it at 100. If it wasn't for this partnership that ROH was successfully able to have with New Japan, and have been for some years now, things would probably be a lot more darker, a lot more uglier for ROH right about now. So, if there's anybody that I'm really concerned about going forward that could really get lost in the shuffle, it's ROH. I mean, we're at that point now where even MLW is like, just the bit that I've seen, I would even say that MLW is above ROH now. Like, when you just look at the current landscape of things right now. So, yeah, you still got WWE for the time being. You still got them. By default, you got to put in AEW. Just common sense. Just everything that's happening logistically, you just got to go ahead and give it to them. You got to put them in at number 2. At number 3, you put in... Number 3, I think you go on ahead, you put in ROH. Number 4, you put in Impact Wrestling. Number 5, you could probably put in MLW. Am I missing anybody else? I think we already mentioned New Japan, right? I don't think I did. I don't think I did mention New Japan. New Japan, I'd probably put in there... let me think about that list again. Let's revise that list. Okay, so WWE number 1. New Japan number 2. AEW number 3. NWA number 4. Impact Wrestling number 5. MLW number 6. I think we got everybody out the way. If I miss somebody, you guys got to let me know, and maybe we'll do the list one more time, but you get the fucking point that I'm making, right? So, I don't know. Hey, I want to take this time out, and I want to thank some of our Patreon members. Remember, patreon.com/RCWR Show. Check out some bonus audio and video content, half of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. A lot of fun goodies. Me and Tammy, we had sat down the other night, and we had recorded back-to-back episodes of 30 with Lee. We did some special editions. We got one that's available right now for you Patreon members. We had reviewed Nicole Kidman, Kevin Hart, and Bryan Cranston in 2019's The Upside. We also had recorded, that's going to be dropping for our Patreon members tomorrow night. We recorded another edition of 30 where we covered live in front of a studio audience, Norman Lear's All in the Family and the Jeffersons. That was really awesome to do. We did about maybe an hour, 15 minutes. I mean, there were so many layers in what we were discussing that I told her, I said, my God, for me to try to make this 40 minutes or whatever, we really did good with this one. I think I'm going to try to keep it intact as it is. So we're going to give that, guys, to you all via Patreon tomorrow. And then there's going to be a new episode, a RCWR Show exclusive. We're going to review the next episode of The Wrestlers on Viceland. Sometime this weekend, I'm also going to continue to pump out some more reviews for Dark Side of the Ring. I still got to edit the joint that we did with Evan Husney from Dark Side of the Ring, producer for Dark Side of the Ring. So I'll probably put that up as a YouTube exclusive over the weekend for you guys to check out at this point. But patreon.com/RCWR Show. $5 a month. You get access to all of that great content. Let me give a shout out here to our Patreon members, because I tell you what, man, we do appreciate these guys tremendously. Them and the sponsors that we get to work with occasionally is why we're able to continue to pump out free content and all kinds. It's just a really positive domino effect. Shout out to Michael Wolf, Sean Kinter, John Davis, Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup, Joe Raymond Jr., and shout out to my boy Justin Rabach. Hopefully I pronounced that name right. One of our newest Patreon members. Hope you enjoy the content, my friend. Enjoy. You be like all of these guys and check out the content. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. So where else do we want to go from here? Now that we've kind of gotten all the talk out the way, I guess we can kind of piggy on back to Jon Moxley one more time. You know, there was a new cryptic video that he had put out there. Of course, it had tied into New Japan Pro Wrestling. A lot of cool stuff that's happening with Jon Moxley. So you got the New Japan Pro Wrestling thing that's going down. And then also AEW, they had revealed Jon Moxley's first opponent. And his first opponent is going to be, bear with me a second here. His first opponent is going to be against Joey Janela. Once again, Joey Janela. Remember, you've got the Fighter Fest, which is from AEW and CEO Gaming. That's going to be happening on Saturday, June 29th. From Daytona Beach, Florida. It's going to air live on Bleacher Report Live at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m. Eastern. I was trying to say tickets after that. That's why the T in there got jammed in there. Looks like tickets are going to be going on sale. They're on sale right now. They went on sale as of Wednesday afternoon at noon Eastern. So far, not that many matches. We've got a hardcore match, which sees Jabali versus Michael Nakazawa. We've got the Elite, Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega teaming up to face Pac, Ray Phoenix, and Pentagon Jr. We've got Cody Rhodes taking on Darby Allin, and as we told you just a few seconds ago, Jon Moxley's AEW in-ring debut. He will be facing Joey Janela. Can't help but wonder how much of a factor Penelope Ford may be, if at all. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. They're a great combination, though. They are a really great combination. And then I just teased to you guys some New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jon Moxley's first New Japan Pro Wrestling match, that is set, as he's going to be facing Juice Robinson for the United States title. For those of you that want to know the date for that one, I'm definitely going to be checking that out. I am. It's very rare. I'm kind of like in and out with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that's going to be happening. It looks like at the Best of the Super Juniors finals on June 5th is when he's going to be facing Juice Robinson. So I'm actually going to check that out. I'm actually pretty excited. I usually get lost when New Japan does all those tournaments and all that. I usually just like to see the finale of it and then kind of go from there. All right, so we got that. What else can we talk about? Let me poke my head in the Discord chat and let me make sure they all are doing pretty good over there, because some people were saying they were having issues about the stream via the Spreaker app and some other outlets. Let me see something here. Wow, that is a long time listener. Time does fly. Freddie, what's up, brother? I got Freddie following up on what I was talking about at the top of the show. Freddie said, going on what you talked about, long time listener, never realized, but I just checked and I subscribed to your YouTube channel March 2012. I was a junior in high school then. Wow, that's just crazy. That is fucking crazy. And that just validates exactly what I'm talking about, Freddie. It's crazy that it's surreal. It really is. Like I said, I'm creeping up on 10 years that I've been doing this show. And you know, we had some hiccups here and there. I mean, Freddie, you know this very well. I mean, there was a period there where when it came to the YouTube community and just outside of the YouTube community, I mean, we were the go-to, and then all of it had met a screeching halt as I had some serious personal matters to take care of, and the show was pretty much, you might as well call it for what it was. The show was on hiatus for about 8 months. And then, you know, if you're not pumping out new content every day or every week at least, when fans can expect it, well, the fans got to get their fix somewhere. They're either going to go elsewhere, or it's, well, if they don't care anymore, why should I? And that's where the disengagement comes into play. So, you know, once all my personal matters had got squared away, and I'm still feeling the effects from when I had the personal issues that was going on in my personal life that I needed to tend to, I'm still feeling the after effects from that, as far as from a listener standpoint and everything. And for me, I've taken it as a fun challenge as far as reapplying as one of the best shows that's out there. You know, I've had to reapply for that again, you know. Notice I said one of, I didn't say the. I never like going with the, you know, because as far as I'm concerned, there is no number one. You know, that's kind of like a matter of, but if you can say one of the best, that's a little bit more, that's not as cocky, you know. But so it's been a fun challenge, man. I've just been focusing more on the content, the quality of the content, and pretty much just going from there. But yeah, it's really nice hearing from people that have been longtime listeners like yourself, Freddie, and it's like, oh man, I was in school listening to you and all this other shit. I'll never forget, and I hope she's doing okay. But there was one listener that I remember. You see, this isn't a case where, you know, it's just, you know, when we all get together, it's like we're sitting down, we're having a drink, we're shooting the shit. I remember there was one longtime listener. Gosh, she was a huge fan of the show. Young girl. And me and Tammy, we used to talk to her all the time. I think she was in high school. I'm not really sure. But we befriended her real quick because what she really needed was a friend to talk to. She needed a friend big time because she was going through some serious problems at home. Right down to the point, I remember at one point in her life, she was living in a hotel. I mean, she had, with her mom, I believe it was with her mom, she had hit some hard times. And it was nice hearing back from her. I remember one of the conversations we had with her, it was, you know, hey, I'm glad that you guys are doing the show because, you know, yeah, I got all this stuff that's going on. It's nice to be able to take my mind off of some of these problems that I'm having. You guys do such a great job, blah, 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 blah. And I always meant to find out what had happened with her. I remember there was one time some years back, looked as though maybe she was starting to do a YouTube channel covering makeup and all that, beauty tips and all that. And I remember reaching out to her saying, hey, how you been? You probably don't remember me, but she's like, no, I remember you. Hey, how you been? Blah, blah, blah. And she just dropped off the face of the earth. So I'm hoping that she is doing okay. Yeah, believe it or not, you know, it's not just a case where all I do is, you know, I do pay attention. You know, those that pop in regularly, you tell me certain things. I do remember. And for me to remember, of all listeners, for me to remember her, I mean, I hadn't, other than mentioning her tonight, I probably hadn't thought about her in maybe, I said thought and didn't I? That's not a word. I probably have not thought about her in probably 5 years, if not even longer. So kind of, you know, crazy. What other stuff can we get into? I don't know if he is actually on Twitter and Instagram. I haven't seen the blue check marks, and I haven't seen any videos. I haven't seen a piece of paper of him. A picture of him holding up a piece of paper validating his Instagram and his Twitter account. But supposedly Dean Malenko. Sorry, got my Deans mixed up. Supposedly Dean Malenko is now on Twitter and Instagram. I know with regards to Instagram, the original account that he had, it had got pulled. And so I guess now he created a new account, and he's basically said, look, if this gets pulled before it's validated, then I'm just not going to even bother with the Instagram. So I'm not really sure if it's him or not. So tread lightly. That's the whole point that I'm getting around to. Tread lightly, because some of these people, they just kind of like to capitalize on said celebrities, get all the followings and all that other shit. You know, it just basically turns out they're bogus accounts. You know, it's no different than the guy that had changed his Twitter account to the Padres once he had saw Padres was available for a short period of time. Because remember, for Mother's Day, the Padres Twitter account, they changed their name to Madres, right? Wanted to pay homage to the mothers for Mother's Day. And some dipshit that fucking quick, you know. What did I think about the Firefly Funhouse? It didn't do anything for me. Sorry. I don't need to be long-winded with that. You ask, I'm not being a dick. It didn't do nothing for me. Of the Firehouse segments, weak. To the point, I have nothing else to talk about with Raw. When I say Raw was an afterthought, it really was an afterthought. Do not ask me what did I think about the barbecue segments backstage on Raw this week. Because I will tell you, I never care for those. I never do. Every time I see one of those things, oh boy, I wonder when the fight's gonna happen. Oh joy, can't wait for that to happen. Don't care about it. SmackDown this week didn't really do anything for me. Decent match that Kofi had with Kevin Owens. WrestleMania rematch, if you will. You know, it was okay. Didn't really do anything for me. The match with the main event match, R-Truth, Roman Reigns taking on Drew McIntyre, Elias, Shane McMahon at ringside. You know, that was okay. R-Truth losing the 24/7 title to Elias, and then basically the end of the night, it comes full circle. R-Truth getting the title back because Roman Reigns pretty much had helped R-Truth. You know, afterthought. You know, there was nothing in there that was... You know what had excited me, if you want to talk about the WWE brand? What excited me from WWE was not Raw or SmackDown this week. You know what actually had excited me about the WWE? The WWE Network. I did have a little bit of free time, and I was able to check out some stuff on the network. And I gotta tell you, one of the things that jumped out at me from the network, I really had loved the episode of WWE Untold. It's a really great little mini series, very easy to get into. It's like about 20 minutes long. I believe right now they've got about maybe 4 episodes that's available. One of the episodes I watched was covering Sting and everything that had went into him finally coming into the WWE. Now, usually when you hear something like Untold, you're kind of going with the notion, maybe we're going to learn something that we've never heard of before, you know, that we're going to be hearing and seeing for the very first time. Well, with regards to Sting coming into the WWE, if you watched Sting Into the Light, you really didn't learn anything new for this WWE Untold episode. Probably the one thing that, yeah, I am kind of curious, what say you? There was one little cool story where Triple H was talking about how Sting was doing his thing with the entrance. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Hang on a second, I got a little bit of a brain fart. Triple H was talking about how he was under the ring as Sting was doing his entrance, and at some point, as H is getting himself pumped up, he's ready to go, there's all of this smoke that is hitting him and the crew, and they aren't really sure if there's a fire or what. They're trying to be as calm and collected as possible, but they're wondering what is up with all of this smoke. Luckily, everything was okay, and then he pretty much did his Terminator entrance and all that. And it was nice hearing a new little tidbit, something that was not part of the whole Sting Into the Light. It was nice hearing Triple H, Road Dogg, who to a degree had a hand in how the match was structured and everything between Hunter and Sting. It was nice, and Sting, it was nice hearing all of them talk about Triple H going over in that match. And when you go to Sting's perspective, Sting goes, that is something that I get constantly asked to this very day wherever I go. And I can vouch for that. I remember, I kind of want to say when I was waiting in line to get Sting's autograph, I kind of want to say I remember hearing somebody bring that question up to him. I can't remember now if it was brought up during his Q&A. I kind of want to say no. I would have to rely on you guys because I know we did make the audio available. And God, I've only played the audio back in my mind once. I haven't gone back and listened to it again. So, but Sting said on the WWE Untold special, you know, okay, well, look, I get it, sure, right? Yeah, maybe I should have gone over, but what do you remember most about the match? And constantly fans are saying, well, I remember how, you know, we had the DX and the NWO, they were facing off against each other, blah, 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 blah. And Sting goes, well, you know, that's something that most everybody I talk to, that's the one thing that they talk about, you know, is those moments that had happened during that match. Aside from me not winning, they also remember all of those cool moments, and to be able to say I was part of that moment, you know, that's how you become famous, right? That's how you are in the history books and all that. So it was nice hearing Sting take a nice proactive approach to the finish of that match. And then you had Triple H. Triple H says, you know, yeah, should Sting have gone over? Probably, you know, most likely, but that's just how things had played out. And Road Dogg shed even more light on it. Actually, you know, Triple H to a degree as well. So, you know, originally the plans was for Triple H and The Rock. And they were trying to do everything they could to make Triple H strong and everything for The Rock. But when things did not fall through, it was, okay, well, what are we going to do next? And sadly, Sting, Undertaker, it was not on the table at that time, which is something Sting really had tried to push for. And then Sting ultimately got from Triple H well, what about facing me? At which Sting goes, well, hell yeah, you're fucking awesome. Yeah, let's do it, right? So it's kind of interesting how it all had played out, but it's interesting because that's something that's still talked about to this day. When many people look at that Sting versus Triple H match, a lot of people still feel that should have been Sting. It should have been Sting. But when you look at those other moments that came about, some really fun moments there. I didn't even mean to talk about that episode, but I mean, we're talking about WWE Untold anyway. There was a new episode that they did, which is why I'm bringing up the series. They had covered the failed reboot of WCW. And you got to hear new audio from Eric Bischoff, Jeff Jarrett, Hurricane Shane Helms, Booker T, just to name a few. It was really nice hearing what was going on during this period. So, I mean, let's really kind of take this a step back and everything, right? It's well documented by now. I mean, I'm a sucker for anything WCW. Especially when Eric Bischoff was involved in everything. I'm a sucker for all of that. I can sit down, you give me a documentary on WCW, I am there. And we were just talking about WCW not that long ago, so let's rewind this back. So summer of 1998, to be exact, you kind of go around to September 10th, 1998. That's when Eric Bischoff was relieved of his duties after about 3 months. Turner executives, they wanted him to come back and try to see if he could give that shock, you know, get WCW back up to par, because they kind of realized, with Russo at the helm, yeah, it's not working. So, sadly, as you all know, WCW was kind of looking as though things were pretty dark for the promotion. One of the guys that Bischoff was talking to, hey, look, you know, if the execs are feeling the way that they're feeling about WCW, they kind of don't want to really have anything else to do with it. well, let's just go ahead and let's just sell it. And that executive that he was speaking to, come back a week later, were you serious about buying it or finding a buyer for this? Yeah. Okay. All right, well, let's see if we can do something. So enter Fusion Media. Fusion Media teaming up with Bischoff. Okay, yes, this all looks good. Let's do this. Turner was desperate to get out of the wrestling business. This was all, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to even mention the guy's name, because I don't believe I know his name. I don't think I caught it in time. But there was one guy that was one of the final says or whatever. He had like the top, what I say goes. And his whole thing was, it's nothing personal against WCW. It's just, yeah, it's a decent product and everything, good numbers, but yeah, just don't want to have TNT be in the wrestling business anymore. Okay, that was it in a nutshell. So one of the guys that was part of Fusion Media, if I have the name down correctly, a Brian Badal. So when it was all said and done, Eric Bischoff, Fusion Media, they had presented this deal. Everything was basically worked out. There will still be a controlling spot of Wednesday nights on TNT for like 10 fucking years or whatever. The deal was said to be worth $67 million. Pretty much they needed all of this money, take care of talents, all that shit. But there was a 10-year agreement, basically. And what the plan was for them to go Wednesday nights, go on over to TBS, right? So they were going to leave TNT, they were going to go to TBS, still kind of part of the whole Turner Broadcasting and all that. Fast forward, you did have a conference call where Fusion Media talked about being very excited, blah, blah, blah. They can't wait to go into the next phase of WCW, all this other stuff. Now, you only had preliminary talks, but there was going to be a hard reset at a WCW pay-per-view. Eric Bischoff's idea was to maybe have WCW go off the air for a couple of months and then do like a resurgence, do hype promotions and all that, do a build up for their next pay-per-view where everything was going to get a hard reset. And the name of the pay-per-view was, and they had the graphics for it as well, the name of the pay-per-view was going to be WCW Big Bang, and that was supposed to happen on May 6, 2001. Jeremy Borash was also narrating as well. Sadly, none of this came to fruition. They even had a deal with Peter Rock, who was one of the owners of the Hard Rock Cafe, and there was a handshake deal for a permanent venue because Eric Bischoff realized that, hey, we can't keep going every single week to different cities and all that. That's costing us money. We need to cut back. We need to save on even more money. So there was a handshake deal to basically, okay, we're going to get something out in Las Vegas. This is going to be our permanent venue. And the plan was also for John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace. He was supposed to be the right-hand man for Eric Bischoff. Pretty much how Vince McMahon has Kevin Dunn, John Laurinaitis to Eric Bischoff. It basically was supposed to go down like that. But then, as you all know, things just did not fall in place the way that it was supposed to fall. And the rest is history. You know, you guys that love walking down memory lane and kind of learning the inner outs of, okay, how did this exactly come to be? I would say about 20 minutes. That was actually a really good episode. Go back and check that out when you guys get a chance, if you did not watch it yet. I thoroughly had enjoyed that. It just really kind of brought questions into mind about what could have been. Most importantly, who would have made up the roster? And I would love to hear Conrad Thompson and Bischoff follow up on that respected episode and just dealing with everybody that was still signed to contract deals and everything. He might have not been able to remember what he was going to do back then, but just kind of going based off of the information that he had at that time, just kind of doing revisionist history, just going off of the logistics, the salaries for the talents and everything. How would, in 2019, just kind of looking back on all of that from 2001, how would he have gone about that pay-per-view? What matches would have happened? What conditions? Things of that nature. What would he have done to set up? You know, kind of do like a kayfabe commentaries guest booker, right? I would love to hear an episode like that. Maybe they've already done it. I just don't know. But if they haven't, I definitely wouldn't mind hearing them do something like that in the coming weeks. I also had watched the Tom McGee, Bret Hart, Holy Grail. You know, a lot of talking, a lot of milking and really working you up, hyping you up for this match that was about, God, it felt like what I watched was maybe 10 minutes. It was a half-hour special, and, you know, it was pretty much dominated by about 20 minutes of talking and everything. And I tell you what, when you see Tom McGee, you go, man, it's a phenomenal build. You know, look at that face. Great smile. You know, what he was doing in there, you know, he kind of reminded me of one of the Von Erichs. I bullshit you not. But the way Bret was selling, Bret sold like a motherfucker for Tom McGee. I was really eating that up. I was really eating that up. It was an okay match. I know this is something that, you know, it was kind of like Bigfoot. It was the stuff of legends, and it had a lot of people talking and everything. For me personally, you know, it was decent. I kind of feel as though if I would have been a teenager and I would have watched this, I probably would feel a lot different than where I am right now. You know, it was okay. But, you know, sadly for me, it was, you know, for me, I was really lost in Bret. Bret was the one that I was really watching, and maybe there's a little bit of bias in there, right? Because I'm a big Bret Hart fan, and I didn't care too much for McGee. I don't know. To each its own. But it was good. It was good. I would say if you are into little mini specials and you want to see all the buzz on what this guy was about and everything, I just think it's kind of sad that he had got a bad hand when it was all said and done. He does this great dark match, if you will, with Bret Hart, and then he does another dark match with Ted DiBiase, and he was on their European tour and everything. He's doing all this other stuff, and they're trying to do their best to kind of build him up properly rather than just put him on live TV for the entire nation to see. Who's that guy, right? They're trying to build him up properly, and for whatever respected reason, things just kind of fizzled out for him and everything. It was great that WWE had followed up with him. My God, I don't know how old he is now. I practically did not recognize him. God's the honest truth. I'm not making fun of the man, but when I see him sit down and he's getting ready to talk about how, hey, I appreciate everybody talking about that match, and here's what I remember about that match. When he first sat down on that stool, I'm like, who is this guy? Why should I care? And then when he announced himself, wait, really? Like, goddamn, like, he looked very sick. I hardly recognized him. I really had to look at his face, and it was really the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, and I would say the jaw. You know, not, you could kind of say, so basically the whole face. Not really. I mean, there's just certain things in the face you looked at and you go, hey, it's Tom, you know. I'm more curious how things had went with him and Bret at StarCast from this past weekend, because I know they had talked a lot more about that match. WWE had hooked them up, hopefully with even more footage. I hope they were kind enough to do that for the boys, you know. But I don't know, to each its own. But go out of your way, check that out. That was fairly decent as well. And what else we got here? Get into some more stuff we can talk about here. Let's see. It's kind of been a quiet, slow news week. I don't think there's anything else. Alex Oliveria's team, they are denying reports of assault from ex-wife of the UFC fighter. I don't know if you guys had heard about this, but there was a report over the weekend of assault allegations against UFC fighter Alex Oliveira. It's been denied by his team. According to a report by MMA Fighting, Oliveira is accused of striking and pulling the hair of his ex-wife in his Brazilian hometown of Tres Rios. Police also stated that Oliveira is accused of getting into a confrontation with a security guard during a party early in the morning that Saturday, with the Tres Rios authorities looking further into the incident, which also stated Oliveira attempted to drive his motorcycle with the couple's child while appearing intoxicated. Yeah, not good. Fight team for Oliveira said he is innocent, but has declined to provide further comment on the matter. As you all know, he had his biggest UFC fight when he faced Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He is 27-1 overall and has lost 3 of his last 5 fights inside the octagon. Look, man, innocent until proven guilty. Not picking any sides. I'm just telling you guys, we've got to follow the evidence, see where it all goes, and the findings. I'm sure UFC is also very curious about this as well. I would like to believe that UFC is definitely working with authorities, helping out in any way humanly possible, and how UFC is going to respond as far as disciplinary action goes. I would like to believe they're basically going to be playing off of whatever findings the police are going to be able to find as well. So, you know, kind of nice little domino effect. Kind of a black eye when you hear stuff like that. You know, it's not really cool hearing shit like that. Kind of sucks, you know. AEW, kind of going back to them one more time, they did announce the newest addition to their roster, Luchasaurus. You guys may remember him from the pre-show. He is now officially part of the AEW roster, so good news for him. When I saw him during the pre-show, I gotta admit, as far as all of the colorful characters that really caught my eye, he caught my eye. And it was funny because when I saw him, one of the first things I said was, hey, it's one of the Whisperers. It's that big creepy bastard Whisperer dude from The Walking Dead. And any Walking Dead fan, when you go, you look at his getup and you compare it to the guy on The Walking Dead, that's literally what the hell you're thinking when you see him. So I'm happy for him, because a little bit of stuff that I had saw of him during that pre-show, I actually thought it was pretty badass. So that's kind of cool. Also, let's see here. Hang on a second here, guys. Former WWE star Terry Runnels, she was arrested. Not really too good here. She was arrested for carrying a concealed weapon. I repeat, carrying a concealed weapon. She was arrested near the Tampa airport down in Florida. Looks like this had went down earlier today. She's currently incarcerated and being held on a $2,000 bond. This is according to PW Insider. The arrest report lists Ronald's arrest location as the Tampa Airport Marriott Hotel. 52 years old. Y'all know she had left the WWE back in 2004, but she did make a return to the Raw 25th anniversary show going back last year. So not going to pass any judgment on whatever is going on with that, but the mugshot of her, it does not look good. It looks very, very unflattering. TMZ, they're kind of adding into the mix, take it with a grain of salt, but they're reporting that her arrest was for bringing a gun to the airport. She was arrested at a security checkpoint with a loaded Glock 9mm. The charge carries a punishment of up to 5 years in prison and up to $5,000 in fines. So, you know, not really a smart move to have a loaded weapon, bringing it to the airport. I would like to believe that it was just silly human error on her part, that she forgot to right? I'm not trying to justify, I'm not trying to defend her in any type of way, but that's not really smart. You know, when I hear stuff like this, I honestly don't blame her. More and more, every time I turn around, I hear stories about people on airlines that are being sexually assaulted. I remember just looking at a news story the other day as I was watching the news, and there was a woman that was sexually assaulted by a guy. I mean, she was taking a nap. Next thing you know, she fucking wakes up and there's a guy fucking fondling her. And she can't scream, and you know, she's petrified and horrified, the whole 9 yards. And I'm sorry, you know, to each its own, but I'm getting up, I'm screaming my ass off. Whatever I need to do to get a motherfucker off of me, I'm fucking doing it. If I gotta punch a motherfucker out, you know, ladies, y'all don't have to be, you know, to each its own, but ladies, y'all don't have to sit through and tolerate kind of bullshit like that. Men as well. I know sometimes men are sadly in positions where they're sexually harassed, you know, they're sexually groped and all of that, right? They're sexually assaulted too. It happens for men as well. And you shouldn't have to sit through all of that shit. As soon as it goes down, fucking bust a motherfucker out. I don't care who you are. I don't care where the surroundings are. That is one fucked up mugshot, though, of my girl Terry Reynolds. I gotta share the mugshot with you guys here. Let me put this mugshot up in the chat room so you guys can see it here. Put it in the chat room right now for you guys. Check this out. Alright, so you guys in the chat there. There you go. And then let me hook you guys up in the Discord chat here, man. Hook you guys up in the Discord. Look at that mugshot. Boy, is that terrible. Let's see here. There you go. Well, it's not loading up in the Discord chat there. You actually got to click on the link, but it'll take you right to it. That's one horrific ass. That's a funny ass mugshot, man. I mean, she doesn't even look human. She looks fucking alienish, man. Seriously, she looks like a fucking alien. I see that there is something going on with the wild card rule. I did have that info, but now I don't have it. There was some news that had came about with regards to the wild card rule, but yeah, I don't think it was really that important. I'm sure if it is really, really important, you guys will definitely bring it to my attention. Shout out to NXT superstar Rachel Evers. Speedy recovery to her. She had took to Twitter earlier today, and she had said she was hit by a drunk driver while driving home from the Performance Center. She said the accident was sadly a hit and run, but that she is all right. And she said, and I quote, "Let me start by saying this, I am okay. I was hit by a drunk driver today on my way home from the PC, hit and run. Now I'm extremely thankful. It was my passenger side that was hit. Some people aren't so lucky. Please don't drink and drive." That's what she had wrote. She also noted that she ran after the man to take photos of him and the car. She said, "Side note, as he drove off, I ran after him and got the best pictures of both his plates and face. I love a good cardio challenge," she wrote with the photos. And you know what? She did pretty damn good. It's just a matter of time before they get this guy. She did damn good. Damn good. These pictures are as clear as day. And based on the make of the car and the tag, it is just a matter of time before this guy gets found out. And I cannot stress this enough. I can't. And I think we're going to start doing PSAs about this. But you guys that love to drink and you say, "Oh, it's just one drink, it's okay," and you know, I can't stress it enough. If you're hearing me right now while you're sober, please, I implore you, if you're gonna drink and drive, try to have some type of common sense to stay at the scene of the crime. Just stay at the scene of the crime. Okay, a couple of points is going to be deducted from your license. You're probably going to get hit with a fine and some other shit. But that is a lot better than leaving the scene of the crime. I don't give a fuck if you're able to establish, oh, well, this person is okay. They're all right. I could drive off now. No, don't do that. That's the last thing you want, because first of all, you're not really sure what's going on with the cameras that's in the area of which you're having this accident. You don't know how good those cameras are. So everything has a very nice way of coming back and biting you in the ass when it's all said and done. So again, I can't stress it enough. Don't do it. You may be very tempted. You may be very tempted, but don't do it. It's just not worth it. You know, and it hits home for me. It definitely hits home for me because my girl's friend, one of her friends was involved in a car accident. You know, they had just got done meeting up and they were having a really good time and everything. Ate out and everything. To my knowledge, they did not have drinks. They just met up somewhere, had some dinner, and then they went their separate ways. And long story short, the other friend was killed in an automobile accident. And it turns out the person that had committed this crime was a drunk driver. Turns out it was a drunk driver that had their license suspended. So this person wasn't even supposed to be driving. And when they were in this accident that had killed the friend / associate of ours, it was a case where the drunk's daughter was riding passengers. So it was like, wait a minute. So not only are you driving on a suspended license, but you're also driving on a suspended license while drunk, and you have a kid in the car. What the fuck? Like, you're totally being fucking reckless. And she thought she could buy her way out from dodging responsibility. You know, she actually somehow had figured out the address for, because there was somebody else that was involved in the accident or whatever, and she thought that she could maybe buy her way out. And they're like, nope, not happening, nope. And she actually had tried to leave the scene of the crime, but luckily there were a bunch of good Samaritans that intervened and they held her down until the authorities were able to come and everything. You're tempted. I get it. You're scared. You're not really sure what the fuck is going on. It's very easy to just, let me just, but you're taking a huge gamble. I always like to come at people and say, treat people how you want to be treated. I would think with respect. So, I mean, if it was you in that accident, would you really want for, if you're the one that is a victim of an accident, would you want for somebody to check on you and make sure that you're okay? Wouldn't you want that act of kindness, So kindness, pass it on. That's the whole message. That's the moral of the story. And also, do not drink and drive. It is just not fucking worth it. I'm trying to see if I can share that other image with the fucking car here. Hang on a second here, guys. I'm gonna try to see if I can share that image with you all of the fucking car here. Damn, she took some really good ass pictures too, man. Looks like that's Florida tags as well. Let me see here. That fucking image repeated itself 3 times in the Discord chat. Hang on here. Cancel that. And let's delete that for you guys. And I'm going to try to give you guys the image one more time. If the image doesn't come up, then fuck it, is all I got to say. You'll just have to go on their Twitter feed and you'll be able to see it directly because it's part of a 2-parter message. Hang on here. Let me see if I can... Let me look at the direct message there. Yes. And no, actually, let me go back here. Hang on a second here, guys. Try to see if I can do this one more time here. Okay, I see. I'm still trying to figure out Twitter. Okay, so because it is two separate images, it is still part of the same tweet. So yeah, go on her Twitter, which is Rachel Evers WWE. That's spelled RACHAEL Evers EVERS WWE. You'll know her when you see her. And she had posted that. Fucking assholes. I can't stand pieces of shit like them. I'm like this. If you're gonna do some bullshit like that, automatically your license is taken away. If you don't have the common decency, the common courtesy to fucking stay at the scene of the crime, you know, accept responsibility. It's all about self-accountability, which is a recurring theme that we talk about on this show. If you're gonna lack in self-accountability and you're gonna run away from the scene, fuck that. You don't deserve to be fucking driving, as far as I'm concerned. Enough said. Alright, so, see, other than that, anything else you guys want me to get into before we get ready to wrap it up? Because I'm just looking at how long we've been on the air so far, and we got about 2 hours and 7 minutes. I'm just thinking if there's anything else we should be getting into on the show here, and I don't really think there is, quite honestly. I think I mentioned, I'm trying to think when we did last week's show. Bear with me a second here. We did last week's show last Friday, right? Yeah, we came on Friday. It's kind of coming back to me now. So you guys already know about the whole Tessa Blanchard thing. I was able to talk to Tessa Blanchard. I'm actually going to post the audio of that. I'm going to try to post that tomorrow for you guys to check out. I knew I almost had forgot something. Rest in peace to Bart Starr, one of the all-time greatest quarterbacks in football. Man, awesome. Just fucking awesome. I had put it out on social media. You know, he passed away over the weekend at the age of 85. He had won the Super Bowl twice with the Green Bay Packers, and he is a 5-time NFL champion. Rest in peace, Bart Starr. One of the absolute best, I would imagine. Green Bay, its fans, Packer Nation, I would imagine everybody's hurting from that one right now. It's so surreal too, because I remember seeing him, it feels like maybe 2, almost 3 years ago, and he looked pretty damn good. He was moving around and everything. Didn't even look like he was in his 80s. I mean, he looked like he was maybe in his late 60s. He was moving around pretty damn well. You know, Father Time, that is, had been very, very kind to him. So, you know, but hey, I mean, look, he lived a nice, long, fruitful, meaningful life. So, you know, it's all about the great body of work that he left behind, the great impact that he left, not just in the league, but what he did for his community. Did a lot for his community and everything. So, you know, he's forever. He's already been remembered, but this, you know, now that he's passed, it kind of even adds more mystique, and it kind of puts even more emphasis on his overall legacy, right? So, yeah, you know, 85, that's a nice, good, long run. I was kind of teasing it earlier, you know, Mike and Maria Kanellis. So Mike and Maria Kanellis, they took to social media talking about how, hey, our WWE contracts are going to be up in about 3 weeks, just saying. And, you know, off and on, past several months, they have cited frustrations with regards to they aren't getting enough opportunities on the WWE roster, and Mike Kanellis has gone on record telling fans, hey, I've tried to pitch all kinds of ideas, blah this, blah that, and everything just seems to be falling on deaf ears. And, you know, now here we are, less than 3 weeks away. Contracts are coming up for renewal. You know, what's going to happen, right? So here's where I stand with regards to this. You know, I get the whole, hey, look, you got to do what's best for yourself. You got to do what's best for your family. But in the case of Mike and Maria Kanellis, I'm going to throw all of that out of the window. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm going to throw all of that out of the window. Because when they both hooked up with the WWE, they were able to get guaranteed financial stability. Okay, so granted, you're not on 205 Live, you're not on SmackDown or whatever other show that WWE has. You're not part of it every single week. You're not part of whatever network specials. Okay, granted, you're not part of any of that. You're not even part of weekly dark matches. Okay, fine. But you're still getting guaranteed money. And that guaranteed money that you're getting, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to feel sorry for you because you're not exactly getting camera time weekly. I'm supposed to feel sorry for you for the fact that you're basically able to technically sit on your ass and collect a paycheck. Something that most Americans, mostly everybody in the entire world, would fucking kill to have. Right? I'm supposed to feel sorry for you. Sorry, not Phil I. I'm talking like Yoda there, okay? I just don't, okay? Now, Mike Kanellis had hit a very dark point in his life. He's been very open about that. And WWE was very instrumental in helping him out, making sure he had the right resources, everything that he needed. They were able to do what they needed to do to, and God bless Maria for being there. And she honestly, at whatever point during that relationship, during that marriage, she could have said, you know what? I don't need this shit. I still have my looks. I still offer some type of commodity. If I want to stay in pro wrestling, I still have a lot to offer to the pro wrestling industry, or all the guys in the world, basically. I don't need this drama. Let me just cut ties with him. It's not worth it. But she stuck by him. Right? So you got this great 1-2 partnership in WWE and in Maria, and yeah, it was documented. We remember the WWE special and everything. It was great seeing him. Hey, one day at a time, right? You're never fully done with your addictions. You're never fully done. One day at a time. That's how you have to do it. That's how you have to treat it. Maria Kanellis was able to have a child thanks to this financial stability from the WWE. The Kanellises were able to have this child, right? Guaranteed financial security. Okay, so yeah, you're not on TV every week. Once again, that sucks. But you're still getting guaranteed fucking money. And now that your contracts are getting ready to expire and everything, I'm not broadcasting that to the entire world. I'm not broadcasting that. If I'm in a position where I really am a little bit frustrated at the fact of, hey, look, y'all bring me into your company, you hire me based on these particular skills that I have. And now that you've hired me, you're not utilizing me and my skills. I'm just collecting paychecks. Like, it's kind of a disservice to me because you're not really utilizing me, and I feel as though I have a lot to offer. Now, you can make the argument of the whole, well, hey, you got to do what's right for your family. It's kind of hard to say you got to do what's right for your family when you've been with this employer for X amount of time and they've been doing right. The biggest insult, the biggest tragedy is you've been able to collect free checks all this time without really doing anything. Right? So it's kind of, what's this really about? Right? I wouldn't even be complaining. I would just be like, hey, contract's up for renewal. So quietly, hey guys, contract's coming up. Are we going to be doing anything? Are we going to be re-signing? And if we are, how long? How long are we talking here? Right? Even if WWE were not to re-sign these guys, they really should not be taking it personal, because I remember, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and I kind of lost track on what's going on with Maria Kanellis now, but I remember a while back, she was talking about going back to college, resuming her degree. She was talking about making the transition to get out of pro wrestling altogether. and maybe try to start up her own business and everything. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, so there's more to life than just wrestling. All right, great. But nutshell, it's kind of hard for me to feel sorry for someone that has been collecting checks all this time. Does it kind of suck to a degree that they weren't being properly utilized as said talent feels they should have been utilized? Yeah, I can, but at the same time, my God, who's the guy that was in WWE for such a long time and we never thought he was going to be let go? I can't think of the guy's name right now, but there used to be a running gag on him all throughout social media, which was, what does that guy have on possibly Triple H or Vince McMahon to continue to still have a job with WWE? I can't think of the guy right now. Kind of like a C talent, if you will. Maybe a C minus talent. He was there for like a long time. And it was just kind of, if I'm not mistaken, the guy actually had a website that was dedicated to him. And when you went to the website, there was like a fucking calendar clock that showed you how many years, months, days, hours, seconds that the guy was still with the company, because it was fucking amazing that he was still with them. And I think eventually they did a shoot interview on him. I sadly cannot remember the name right now. You guys will kind of have to remind me and everybody else who it is that I'm thinking about. But I know he's not there anymore. But there was definitely a fucking calendar clock that was done of him online. Yeah, so forgive me if I don't exactly cry a fucking river over that. You know, it is what it is. See, other than that, just quickly going through some more notes here, just making sure we are all good for the night here. I think we did pretty good, given the fact that there really wasn't that much to be tackling on this week's show. Let's see here. Starrcast 3 has been announced for AEW All Out Weekend in Chicago. Starrcast 3 will run on Thursday, August 29th through Sunday, September 1st. And as you all know, Labor Day is on Monday, September 2nd. AEW's All Out event is going to be taking place on Saturday, August 31st from nearby Hoffman Estates, Illinois, at the Sears Center. I know a lot of people are already talking just about the Starrcast graphics alone, the Starrcast 3 graphics alone, because people are kind of looking at, oh my God, it's got a CM Punk reference. Do you think it could be? So I'll let you guys kind of marinate on that one. And let me see here. That's good there. We're good there. Yeah, I think we're actually good here, guys. Let me just go back here. And we know Crown Jewel is next week. You know what? One other thing I want to do is I want to look at the latest card for this NXT pay-per-view that's going to be coming up, because we do have a takeover event that's going to be going down this weekend. Yeah, believe it or not, it's going down this weekend. I want to look at that card for you guys. Let's see here. What is the name of the latest takeover event too, by the way? That's what I'm most curious about. So it looks like it's NXT TakeOver 25. Am I seeing that right, guys? NXT TakeOver 25. Alright, so let's see what we got here. It's NXT 25 TakeOver. Alright, so NXT TakeOver 25, that's going to be going down this Saturday, June 1st. Look at some of these matches that we got. As it stands right now, at the time that we're doing this recording, we've got Matt Riddle taking on Roderick Strong. I got to go with Matt Riddle. I guess we're kind of going in the picks as well. I'm going to take Matt Riddle for that one. Velveteen Dream takes on Tyler Breeze for the NXT North American Championship. I'm happy that Tyler Breeze is back in NXT. Some guys you look at on the NXT roster, just stay right there where you are. You're good to go. Tyler Breeze, definitely one of those guys. They dropped the ball with him big time on the main roster as far as I'm concerned. I got Velveteen Dream retaining. Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Street Profits. That consists of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford, taking on the Undisputed Era's Kylie O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, taking on the Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. It's a ladder match for the vacant NXT tag team titles. Ah, man. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Street Profits. A little bit I've been seeing of them. I'm gonna go with the Street Profits. Io Shirai takes on Shayna Baszler, singles match for the NXT Women's title. My God, man, Shayna Baszler has continued to have a death grip on that damn NXT Women's title. Remember, the last couple of times I went with Io Shirai. I think Baszler's going to retain a little while longer, man. I think if a title drop is going to happen at this point, I don't think it's probably going to happen until their next takeover event, like SummerSlam weekend. I'm going to go with Baszler. Johnny Gargano defends the NXT Championship against Adam Cole. Should be a good match. Gargano. I'm going to stay with Gargano. Wow. So I only have... Am I reading this right? So as far as... So I just went with the Street Profits. So basically I'm saying all the other champions are going to retain. Let me just go back. Try to see if maybe there could be a swerve in here somewhere. I'm not seeing a swerve. If there was to be a swerve, I would say maybe there's going to be a swerve in Baszler Shirai. Maybe Shirai will take it, but I'm still leaning with Baszler. I'm just going to say Baszler, but we'll see what happens. Again, that's going to be this Saturday, June 1st. Yes, I will be live as soon as that pay-per-view wraps up. We'll be live all throughout the usual media outlets, so that's going to be pretty fun to check out. So looking forward to that. And other than that, let me look here. That's pretty much it. I think for the most part, we got into everything that we needed to get into on tonight's show. So I'm going to stick a fork in it. This show's in the books. So your next edition, Saturday, June 1st. Patreon members, look out. There's going to be some more content coming your way. You already got a new 30 with Lee available right now, covering the upside. And then basically later on tonight, Thursday night of the 30th, we're going to give you guys the other 30 with Lee edition, covering the live in front of a studio audience, Norman Lear's All in the Family and the Jeffersons. We're going to give you that. Also give you guys a new review of the latest episode of The Wrestlers from Viceland. And we told you about the NXT TakeOver. So other than all of that good stuff, next edition of the RCWR Show, after all that, go into next week. We'll be coming at you guys on Wednesday, June the 5th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. NBA Finals begins later tonight. Now that it's officially Thursday over here on the East Coast, we got Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I am excited for that. It's the Toronto Raptors taking on Golden State Warriors. That should be a fantastic fucking series. Go Warriors is all I gotta say. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on downloads. And be sure to get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Remember, if you enjoy the content, you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button so you always know about new content that comes your way. And shout out to those of you that are maybe checking out the show via YouTube. Make sure on top of hitting the subscribe button, you click on the bell notification. That way, anytime I go live or new content is uploaded, you always are kept in the loop. All right, that's going to do it. Much love as always. I am wishing all of y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you all next go round. Y'all do take care. A very good night, good morning.